Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening somewhere. Well, we start off today. To start off with, I put the title up yesterday as the about the Fed chair, being a trader, and at the same time, we really had more of a conversation yesterday about volatility in currencies and who's pretty docile, who's a quiet currency and who's a very active currency. And I should have had a different title to that. Maybe we'll work on trying to get another title for that at the same time, because it really was a measurement and a view of the volatility over the last 12 months, over the last year basically, of all the major currencies, or at least the ones we follow at the, here, and we went in and looked at pretty much all of them. I mean, Canadian and the New Zealand, and we looked at Euro and so forth, and British pound and Swiss and China, not China, the Japanese. And so really, I think I definitely put the wrong title into yesterday. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking about the the new Secretary of Treasury that's coming in, who is a currency trader. And so, and I think that's that's his claim to fame too. He's a very active hedge fund that trades currencies. So it's nice to have somebody that actually understands the whole picture, because I always think of currency traders and bond traders are really the bulk of real global trading, and then it's compared to stocks and commodities and so forth. They're much more minor to some extent. I mean, obviously, oil, energy commodities are globally and very active and so forth, and they're like the third. And then you move into the metals complex, and then from there you go over to the stocks. Really, grains, no doubt. The grains and the softs have big positions too. But I just thought needed to be mentioned here at the beginning of this webinar, solely because we really did dissect, take apart and look at some of these currencies and who's been naughty and who's been nice. Pretty much that's been the flow of it all. So anyway, let's get rolling along. Up on the screen you see the dollar index. You see it's down again today, feeling a little more pressure on the downside. You can see the daily algorithm has pierced the minus side right there. We'll just make that the whole screen for a second so you can see it. I see that right there. And you see that yesterday it was backing off, but it was still in the plus. And then you can see yesterday's action here. You can see the sell down yesterday, but didn't put it into the sell. Then it was a gap up this morning, and they sold it down. And now they're flirting with that, sell. But unfortunately for the ones who would like to sell, like in other words, go short, you can see the weekly is still in the buy, so there's no reason to think that there's a short out there. It's just a profit-taking situation from a magnificent run on the upside there. And then I drifted. I read an interesting, or listened to an interesting article this morning, and I'm going to put it up on the screen there. And what it is, it's a Chinese turning point inside stimulus plan. And in other words, we really grasp, we reach, we search for actual real data that can be confirmed, compared to what the People's Bank of China or the CCP in China tell us. We know that it's not necessarily accurate, but it's what they want to believe, so they say it, and then they hope that everybody else will believe it too. But having a sip of my tea there. But so I thought what was interesting here is in this particular podcast, it said this podcast features a fellow named Andrew Wilkinson and Dr. Chen, who discusses the recent government stimulus in China and its implications for the economy. Dr. Chen says it highlights the significance of the timing of the stimulus. In other words, when they started to do it here over the last 5-6 weeks, I guess you could say, or six, yeah, something like that, suggests that it aligns with the Federal Reserve actions. In other words, the 0.5% cut and the now the quarter point cut, that type of thing, aligns with the Federal Reserve actions of the United States here, allowing the People's Bank of China to synchronize its interest rate policy with the U.S. Now, obviously, any of you out there that listen to me, day in and day out or every so often, know that I don't understand how a country, any country, would claim that they want to be the world reserve currency and at the same time, work at removing the existing world reserve currency, but at the same time synchronize their policies to it. So not only do they synchronize their policies here, they explain, but more than that is that they synchronize their currency converter. And so they have this currency converter, the yuan, and what it does is it doesn't float, so we can't really get a good market price of it. We just have the official fix every day, like they used to fix the Lombard rate in London. This is the price. This is what you'll trade it at. This is real. That type of thing. And they fix the yuan converter, which is also locked or linked to the dollar every day. So in one hand, we used to say, they say one thing, and with another hand, they do something else. Now, obviously, if you're going to want to aspire to be the world reserve currency, you got to basically say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say. Does that make sense? So, in other words, if you say you're going to do this, then you got to do it. But you can't become linked to to a particular point in space, in other words, a price of something else, and at the same time say, I'm going to replace that something else. It's like, well, that's great. Float your currency. We'll let the markets tell us where your product is, and then you become the world reserve currency by having something that people feel confident in. Well, so that's that's as far as I'm going to get today. I don't need to beat up on anybody, and I just thought that was it was an interesting video, about how they're linking and at the same time trying to be independent, how they're trying to stimulate an economy, but at the same time under invest. So it's your classic command and control economy. Do as I say, but not as I do. That's what it comes down to. And so, that is what it is. I just thought it would be interesting for any of you to want to, basically take a peek at them, and you can get a better understanding of obviously where my head is at. There's no doubt about that. There's the chat line. Let's see if anybody has stopped in to say hi. Hi, hi, hi. No, I don't see anybody chatting in or doing anything. So let's move over to the euro. Let's see what the euro is up to this morning. Oh, while we're on that screen, let's do this too. Let's go check out the 10-year bond. That was part of the conversation yesterday, and we do like to look at the interest rates to get an idea, what the world is thinking about, the dollar in some form or another, basically, I guess you could say. So here we go. Here comes the 10-year bond, and you can see it's been lifting up for the last couple of days. It's the second day in a daily buy. And you can see the weekly is really fighting hard to get into the plus. Now, remember, if this thing does get into the buy, we're going to see the dollar start to weaken, and start to go down. And that's why we're seeing the dollar right now flirting with the downside. You can see it's flirting with it. Now, not to go, you can't really go short until we really get this thing into the weekly sell. At that point, you can, depending on why you're trading and how you're trading and the vehicles and so forth that you do trade when it comes to this. because in other words, we like to synchronize the weekly with the daily when you're just nakedly trading. And so if you're using options and or offsets of other currencies, that type of thing, other pairs trades, then it's a whole different story. You can try to follow the shorter term, the daily, and know that the weekly that's the overall trend, but it's not the trend. So you can see here the 30-year is doing the same thing, and its weekly is a little bit further out, showing a little bit more minus still. But you can see this is the second day now of that trying to lift up. All right, from there we're going to go over to the euro. Let's take a look at the individual currencies themselves. And as you can see on the spreadsheet right there, we've got the euro is 9 weeks in a sell, 3 days in a sell. So it's not right there. It's still having its issues. And here it is on the screen. And you see we've got a nice little bounce off of one of the Fibonacci sequences, which is really fascinating. Our math came down, was in a sell for that bottom. And you can see our math is trying to turn up now. And at the same time, we've got a green and a red on the bar. And you can see it's breaking through the zero line, trying to get into a buy. So, we're seeing some strength there. Unfortunately, our weekly is still underwater by 9 weeks, going on a 10th week here. So, and we have it highlighted on the spreadsheet there. The spreadsheet is designed to give you a history of our success rate, of what's going on. And you can always take the spreadsheet and look at it and go, oh, so it's been 9 weeks in a sell. Where did it go into that sell? It went into the sell up in here. And each week it reconfirmed that there was weakness. Referring. And then you saw some, you saw the green line here, or the blue fast bottom in here from that. And you can see it tried to lift up a little bit, but couldn't get the weekly to change. Just some daily, to keep you safe from here to there. Depending on how you trade and what vehicle you trade and why you're trading, that type of thing. And then it goes back into the sell again. And here it's consistently telling you that, no, this thing does not want to find a bottom in here. And we'll see, because look, you can see the histogram, which was the real strength of this whole thing, is that, the histogram is trying to turn. It's trying to make its turn, and it's beaten out. It's higher than that low. It's higher than that low, and it's coming up and challenging that low. Now the question, will it challenge these lows and go ahead for the buy? That's the big game right there. So see if the daily comes first, and then from the daily we start to see some weekly trend change, and then from the weekly trend change, we watch and see how the dollar ends up starting to get sold off a little bit. I would imagine the dollar will probably somewhere along the line, it's been in a very strong move. They probably, we've talked about it, Western markets want to see facts, not fiction. Especially the United States, the hedge fund managers are very, very, as much as they put up with quantitative easing and pretend that it's normal, the reality is that they really need to see policy change. And obviously Mr. Trump will generate policy change. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they're looking at his cabinet now, and it's the most diverse intellect of people anybody can remember for a cabinet. I mean, he's brought in the best of the best of the best, the smartest of the smartest of the smartest, the ones with track records like my spreadsheet. They've done it before on different levels, and they'll do it now on this level because they are the pros of the pro. They are the best of the best. So, and the markets have been celebrating that, and I want to say they've been celebrating that for since September, when they realized that it was going to, poll. There's two types of polling. Let me interrupt myself and explain this to a lot of you. I don't think I might have said it once or twice during the election. There's two types of pollings. One polling is to actually figure out where to put money. In other words, you don't want to put money into a region that just will not flip in your direction. In other words, you can, if it's close, then you can. Then there's a second polling that goes out, and that is for spin. In other words, for propaganda, Goebbels, type of thing. In other words, it's the objective is to disenchant the opposition's voters, to make them feel that life is bad, and it's not going to, don't go out and vote for your man or woman. Instead, vote for us or don't vote. That type of thing. There's a couple of concepts out there. So that is the concept of it all. Oh, interesting. Watching them on one of my screens, they're marinating chicken in Tokyo. Yuzuki soy sauce. Dressing based. All right. So, I was fascinated, by the way, he butchered it. So, when we look at the way and who polls and so forth, markets knew that Trump had a good chance of winning. And so they were, it's the classic Wall Street trend, buy the rumor, sell the news. And so in this case here, let's go take a look at, not the currencies at the moment, let's go back out and look at the stock market. And here is the S&P 500. And we'll shrink it down. And you can see we went into a weekly buy back here in the middle of August. And it stayed in that weekly buy from the 5,400 area, basically, all the way to the week before the election. And they drove it into the sell and turned around and threw it right back into the buy again. In other words, they were taking their profits because they thought for sure Mr. Trump would win. And then when he won, they did this for 6-7 days, sold off a little bit, and then took off again to make new all-time highs. And so that's where we are now. There's no doubt that the markets overall have had a good idea that Mr. Trump was going to win, because they have professional pollers that give them the odds. That's what Wall Street's all about, is trying to get yourself on the right trend, the right, and have the right odds working in your favor. The momentum, they basically call it Momo trading or momentum trading, when you know that the momentum is going to be a certain way. And you can see, when you look at the index itself, you can see here, the overall trend was up. And so, you got to take them down to buy them again and try to get other people to sell them to you. And then the same thing here, and the same thing there, and we're just cruising along, and we're in a weekly buy with no problem. And it's just is the way it is. Matter of fact, they just threw up on the picture on another news feed the new Secretary of Treasury, and it's going to be interesting. We're going to see some of the best tax policies. We're going to see some of the best import-export policies. We're going to see some of the best regulation policies. It's going to power the economy enormously. More money in people's pockets, not by the government writing a check, but by private enterprise doing it. So, all right. So let's go back to the euro, and then let's take a look at the cable. And so you can see here we're getting a nice little bounce, and it'll be like a bounce like this, I would imagine. We're going to have to watch the weeklies to see if there's a real change in direction. But when we look at the dollar index is trading in the 108s, is it? Just go back to the dollar index again. think it's the 108s. Let's get it up on this screen instead. Nope, not that one right there. Yeah, the dollar index. I don't think it's going to see 115 again, but anything is possible. The dollar is going to be strong because money's going to be roaring in here. They want to participate. Around the world, they want to be in one of the best investments, and that's what that is. So you can see here they popped it up to 108. Now they're digesting it, and some are taking profits. And you can see it's trying to push into the sell here today, just like it was on our beta platform. Let me just show that to you. Doing the same thing right there. You see it's doing the same thing, pushing into the sell today, just like it's doing right here, trying to push into the sell. And the weekly is strong, strong, and stronger, just like on the other one. Here, strong, strong, and stronger. All right. Now let's get into the British pound. British pound. Oh, saw something interesting yesterday. We've been saying this here since the election. We have it up on the screen. The election right there. How they were like, yay, we got rid of Labour Light, or basically the Tories, and we're really going to have good Labour because Labour is going to not do the stupid things that the Tories did. And they sell it down, they got elected, and they don't make a new low, they lift up again, and you see the strength in it. And then this is where they just did, where was it? Right there. We should put that line in too. This is where they passed their budget, right here. All right, just like the election, that's the budget. We're going to put in there budget too. Oops, let's try that again. And what a strange story that has come out of England from that. We can see that once they passed that budget, it was trying to stay above. But that day they passed the budget, it almost came down and kissed the price where the election came in. And then 4 days later, they broke that. And look at this. They're driving it down hard. And there's a... let me see if I can find it. This is the most fascinating thing. Budget. There we are. Labor's budget was nothing what they promised in the election. Nothing. And they have the country totally freaked out. I mean, the population is... Yesterday, they started a petition. And in England, if you have a petition that has more than 10,000 votes, they will bring it to Parliament to discuss. And when you have 100,000 votes, they take that petition and they really debate it. It becomes something that they will vote on. And they're up to 2.25 million signatures. Never have they seen that many signatures that fast on anything. Not even Brexit. Nothing. I mean, like, through the roof, Alice. And so the petition is asking for new elections. Let me see if I can find that on the... let me see if I can find that. They're asking for new elections. I saved it. Talk about wild and woolly, honestly. Wild and woolly. They've really buried themselves, Labor. They think that they're American socialists, our Labor. They can say one thing and do another, and the population barely pays attention. Can you imagine that? They're demanding for new elections. Oh my God. It's only been 4 months, right? I think that's what it is. 4 months. Here it is right here. And we're going to put it up on the screen so you can see it. That's wild. Just wild. There it is right there. We're going to put it up on the screen for you to see. There it is right there. Uh, Viral petition demanding UK general election hits 2 million signatures in under a week. I saw yesterday they said there's over 200. It says here Parliament is obligated to debate all petitions that surpass 100,000. Well, they there it is right there. There's the signature. They're up to 2,249,440. This is from yesterday's story. So they may be, who knows? They might be up to like 2.5 million now. They're gonna have to vote on that. They're gonna have to actually. And do you think that Labor, after what they've done, they promised one thing and did totally the opposite? You think if they refuse to vote on it, you're not gonna see another Labor person get into office. They're gonna just start, before you know it, every so often, when you have, I think it's like 780 members or something like that. We have the same thing in the United States with the House of Representatives. We have, someone dies, someone gets sick, they retire, and then they have to have another election. For they can appoint somebody most times, and then they there's an election that comes up like 3 months later. Well, in this case here, same thing. You have 700-800 people in Parliament. Someone's going to die, someone's going to get sick, and before you know it, there's going to be 20 or 30 new elections. One here, one there, every so often. And if Labor goes and votes against this, they will not get that seat back. I can tell you, it'll be Nigel's party that'll get it, or it'll be, and a matter of fact, they're opening the doorway for Nigel. Nigel says what he does and does what he says. Labor did the opposite. They said, they're doing what, like the Chinese. It's classic socialists. They say one thing and they do another. A lot of times people don't have the opportunity to change it, or they don't pay attention. They just go, okay, I'll wait for next election. And this could be the door opening for Nigel and his party. And that party is challenging the Tories, because the Tories are more like Labor light than, they're not Labor, but they're like Labor light. So it's like, oh God, who wants that? We just saw, now we're seeing it. And so they passed that budget, and now the currency's deep underneath where the election was. And that says a lot. See, we talk about, that's why we started talking about the currencies yesterday, about the volatility of them and so forth. Because currencies are just not products that go up and down. They go up and down for a reason most times. Inflation, growth, policies, there's a rationale why they trend those ways. As traders, the objective more than anything else for us is to put positions on with the main trend or momentum, and trade it. Like in this case here, we went into the weekly sell up in here. Markets were anticipating there was going to be problems. They were probably talking to different members of Labor and how the budget was built, developing, and they realized this is not going to be good. People are not going to be happy. Then they passed the budget, and it got slammed that day like that. Let me just widen it a little bit more like that. Move it over a little bit more like that. And that day, that after the budget passed, they, let me just show it to you again like that. Look at that. They just slammed it from there all the way down to there. And we were already, the weekly overall trend was coming down. It went into the daily sell here. You see that right there on October 1st. And the close of that week, it had pushed itself into the sell somewhere in here. And here we are down there. It's gone from the 32s to the 25s, basically. And it's trading at 26 and change today. And so they're going to have to, now this might be, because there's 2 million, 2 million. Oh, wait a minute. You didn't see what I was pointing at. Let me just do that again. So cable, you can see right here, they anticipated this action. So they started going into the sell. In here, when you're making a budget in government, people are talking to other people and they're saying, we're going to pass this, we're going to do that. And you can see it's leaking. That's a hedge fund word for when it's going down, leaking. And you can see it goes into the weekly sell that week right there. Somewhere's around in here, it's into the weekly sell. And you can see it's just just been sliding down from it all. And then you can see this day here, matter of fact, maybe we should go like this with it. So you go like that, bring that down like that, and we'll go like that. So you can actually see it even better. And there's the budget. That day the budget passed. They slammed it. Next day they tried to jack it. It didn't work. They tried to pick it up. Next day again, back into the cell. It was in that cell. Let's move that over like that. The next day. And it's been in the cell ever since? No. They pushed it back into the buy for a day or two here, and then pushed it into the sell right there again. And now it's trying to bottom, probably more than anything else because of the story we're pointing at right here. Yesterday they had 440 signatures, and who knows what they have today, but that's moving fast. Like it says here, the petition record the fastest growth to 1 million signature in history. So in other words, they're so angry. Well, we talked about it here. They voted out Labor Light, better known as Tories. But all the Tory policies were pretty much not much different than the Labor policies. Maybe a little more conservative and a little bit more financial responsible, but not much. And so they really pissed off the population. And Tories campaigned on the idea that they won't do that. Then they won the election, and it was such a ruckus of an election that even Nigel, who's very conservative, who was leading England in the European Parliament, he had been elected there, but his party picked up 7-8 seats or something like that, and during that election, and Tories lost seats, and Labour picked up seats and became the ruling party. And here you are 4 months later. That was in July. And so now you have August 1 month, and then you have September 2 months, and then you have October 3 months. Here we are in November. There's 4 months, and there's a petition out there to have an election. Not 5 years from now, but 4 months later. They're so angry at what they did. The Labor said one thing and passed a budget totally the opposite of it, and people don't want that. They want government to be responsible. They're tired of people pissing away money and doing stupid things, and they're taxing the average person. I mean, they're doing all kinds of things. It's brutal. I think it's right here. You can see it. Capital gains. They're going to charge 18% on capital gains for the average person, and 24% for higher rate taxpayers. I mean, what? And then here's the real kicker. Let me see if I can find it here. They're putting an inheritance tax on, and the inheritance tax is going to force farms to sell their properties. It's like, what? It's like government is an unnecessary. It's a necessary evil, but as far as we're concerned in America, we always believe it that way, and we're always fighting with the left. That if the left worked, China would be the world reserve currency already, and the Soviet Union would have been a world reserve currency, and would be now one today. But the Soviet Union doesn't even exist anymore, and if the CCP keeps on fooling around, they're going to find themselves not existing anymore either. They must move away from this communist stuff to at least to socialism, like Europe, because they're gonna end up bringing in. Next thing you know, the capital will be Taiwan, and they'll be ruling the whole continent. All right, so that's the crazy thing going on in England, which is wild, and you can see the currency really reflecting it. And probably the way, part of it could be literally the euro falling apart the same way. Basically the same trend. Basically could be them concerned that it's already most of the countries are moving towards capitalism. And maybe that could be the the strength. You can see the Swiss moving on that same note right there. We go over to the Zloty. Let's see what the Zloty. There's a capitalist society. See how the Zloty looks at that. Right. So there's October. Doing the same thing. It's moving up. It's losing too, but it changed its trend. It's already moving back down again. In other words, it did it for a while, and now they're moving way back down again. Whereas obviously we're not seeing that in the euro. Euro for a couple of days ago, but not up in here. When this turned, the Zloty turned and stayed and started to move back up, basically. And in gaining against its pairs trade. Same thing here, right there. That's where the Zloty started to make that trend change, and how successful it was. And right there, and you can see it's at those lows now, and it's been trying to change the trend towards the downside. You can see it's even going into the weekly sell, which means that this is a euro Zloty pair. So that means that the euro is losing even more. That's what it is. And the Zlotys picking up. And look at the width of it too. Not bad. I mean, it's not feeling much pain in here. Bouncing from 4.25 basically over the last 3 months up to 4.37, is it? What's the high there? Yeah, 3.7. I mean, from 2.5 the 3.7 is nothing, since it's a handle of 4. It's not like the handle changes every day, like in the Turkish lira, where it's like 37 handle or 38 handle or 39 or 35 or 36. I mean, massive handles. Just like the euro, the handle doesn't change. It's at a point. It's point this or point that. But nothing major. All right, let's take a look at the Canadian. We haven't done that a lot until yesterday. There's the Canadian. Let's see how that reacted to it all. Same move in October. Then you can see here in the November push, and then right there, it's basically it's staying on that trend. So this is the dollar CAD trend, and what it means is that as it's rising, it's losing against the dollar. Okay, whereas a couple of days ago they were pushing it down for a while. All right. So from there, there's the Swiss. Swiss making a nice turn, still in the buy, and the weekly buy too. So I mean, we're not seeing any real change here yet. The different currencies may start. We see at times where the yen goes one way, the euro goes another, against the dollar, that type of thing. They do break away. They don't all march in the same direction all the time. There's the yen. The yen is trying to, it's had a green and a red yesterday. It's pushing underneath. It was minus yesterday, and you can see the weekly is trying to dip. Now, we could say, we can speculate, in the sense of what happens to Japan with a strong American economy. In other words, a very efficient economy. There's a good chance that we start to see the yen getting bought because profits will perk up in Japan, and we'll see more buying going on, that type of thing. Let me see what else we got here, and let me see whereas the Swiss, which I just showed you, let me just show it to you again. The Swiss trying to roll over. In other words, it's losing as it's rising. That's what it is. It's making a little bit against the dollar there, and then it's losing again against the dollar, and then making a little, losing, and now it's making again. We'll see. See if this starts to roll over like the yen, and you would assume a healthy world economy would be a positive for Switzerland. I would think so. I would think that that could be the starting gun, like in a race. It's like, woo, the race has begun. The world is going to start becoming much more profitable. Now, countries like China are really going to have some problems, because they take our product and charge us like 200% tariffs and 150% tariffs, and we charge them like 10 or 20%. And so, Mr. Trump, it's funny how the leftist media here in the States, he's going to put tariffs on, it created the crash in 29, blah, 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 blah. I mean, obviously, the crash of 29, the worst part of the whole depression was in 37. So 8 years later, the depression was at its worst. And they didn't do anything to straighten it out. They voted out the party that was in there, but the worst part of the depression from the 29 crash was in 1937 and 38. So there's the Swiss. I think that they'll benefit from a healthy world economy. Japan may too. They don't charge a lot of tariffs against the U.S. So that could be a positive for the U.S. And that's probably why we see it firming up like this, trying to roll over. And you can see the weekly is at only 0.33 now. It's breaking down. From there, let's see what the great experiment is doing. There we are. You see it's trying to turn up. It's been in the weekly sell now for, was that 1, 3, there's 5 weeks. This is the 10th week. We haven't seen 10 weeks in a buy in like 5 years. That was fantastic, we broke the 9-weeker, which was 3.5 years ago, where we were actually in a weekly sell for 9 weeks. We hadn't seen a weekly sell like that, like I said, in 3.5 years. Back when the product was in the 8s and 9s, I think it was. Yeah. There it is, like right here. Went into the sell in the 9 area, the weekly sell in the 9. It fell all the way down to the 840 area. Yeah, I know. We're talking about the Euro Turkish lira. Yeah, I mean, that was a 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and it bottomed out. I mean, the great experiment. It has its. I call it that for legitimate reasons. It's not like I'm trying to be nasty to them. I mean, you're looking at a product that goes from an 8 handle to a 9 handle to a 10 handle, hangs out in the 10s, plays with the 9 handle. Next thing you know, it's the 11 handle. Then it's the 12 handle, the 15 handle, the 20 handle. Locks in around the 16 handle. Goes back to the, just stays in the 16s for about 6-7 months, and then it's in the 18 handle. I mean, we don't see that. You can see there's the 19 handle, goes back to the 20 handle after a whole year, makes another all-time high. Now we're playing with the 22s, the 23s, 24s, 30s. It's been a wild and woolly ride. It's tripled in price. Tripled? More than that. 3 times 8, even 3 times 9 is 27. So here it is there, 2.5 years later at 33. And we know the story. We know where it's trading today. It just kept on climbing more, flipping around. It's not liquid because of its volatility. Next thing you know, it's 36s and 37s and 38s and 39s. Blows up the 40 handle, all-time high. And it's calmed down pretty dramatically, in the sense that, it fell all the way down to 35, from 40 handle on a spike. And so, it is, Oh, here you go. Ernst releases plan to cut 2 trillion in government spending. Yeah, they're gonna dismantle that this just throw money away for fun. Government. They're gonna tear that sucker apart. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to eat it alive. So this is we're happy to see the Turkish lira stay down. Let it park itself in the 36s or 35s. That's a good thing. Let it park itself in the 30 one day. We'll be very happy. Maybe they're going to start paying attention. But I would say more than anything else, I think that the reason why the Euro Turkish lira is falling down and has dropped 4 or 5 handles, I think it's because of Mr. Trump. I do. I believe they see a world economy growing, and growth always helps bad policy. When the economy is growing, no matter what stupid idea you have and policy you put in, it helps a little bit or it helps a lot. In this case here, it's going to help a little bit probably. I don't think we're going to see the 25, but I think we will see stay in the low 30s or mid 30s, which is a lot better than seeing it trading in the high 39s. All right, from there we shoot over to the South African rand right there, and you can see the rand is doing that. It's trying to get into that downtrend. You can see that right there. I have a little line drawn through it. It's trying to push down. You see it's in a daily buy for a few days here now, 4 days. And we're in a weekly buy now for 5 weeks, going on 6 weeks there. So that's not usually the best signal for metals. So we'll show you the metals complex. Let's take a look at gold there. Here is the February gold. You can see they slammed it yesterday after our webinar. And it's the second day in a sell there, and it's 3 weeks in a sell right there. We take a look at the front month, December, which will be ending by the end of this week. We'll be moving into the February contract, and there it is right there. You see, same thing. It's in a daily sell for a second day. It's up a little bit, but overall the weekly trend is saying no thank you. From there is March silver. March silver doing the same thing. They're trying to pop it up, but it's in the weekly sell now for a full 4 weeks, and it went into the daily sell. See, it went into a daily. What's this? This is March. Let's go see what the front month looks like there. Right there. Let's see how it looks. There you go. So, goes into a daily sell, back into the daily buy, back into the daily sell, and we're in that daily sell now, and it's up, going the wrong way, but we'll see. It hurt us here, and it's hurting us here, and obviously it was a good made some nice do-re-mi from here down to there. So you have profits to lose, not necessarily actual what do you call it, and you couldn't take the long. Remember, you're not long for this and getting punished on that because we're in a weekly sell. So you got the sell there. Depending if you did it through binaries, you probably might be in the position still for this. If you did it just naked, cold silver, you may have gotten stopped out there. It depends. It's hard to say. That's why I always say it depends on the vehicle and the strategy that you use. We know what we use, and we don't get trapped in things like that where we get stopped out. When we're in a weekly sell and I get a sell signal, it gives me a buy signal the next day. I'm usually in a position that's like a binary or a bear spread or something like that, and look at that, it comes right back again the next day. All it comes down to you, the individual trader, and how you use your assets to trade. That's what it comes down to. All right, and then from there, let's go take a look at copper. Now, copper, this has become the front month, really. You can see we have 2 days now of green, red, green, red. It's in a weekly sell, so obviously, you're not worried about like up. You're only trading down. And there was, let's grab this sell like right there. And so it went into the sell there. And so that was a winner chicken dinner. And you could still be in it because we're still not getting a buy signal out of it all. Again, comes down to you, how you trade and how much money you risk. All right, now from there, we will take a look at the expiring contract right there, the December contract. And you can see here, this is the front month. And you can see here, it goes into the sell and stays in the sell all the way to there. Never jumps back into the buy. And by the end of this week, we will definitely be showing you I think it's a February. Is that the February? What is that? That's March. March contract will be the front month going into. They're tied right now. You know, the volume is equal. Open interest is greater in the March contract, but the volume is still just a little ahead of or right at the same as the March. So we're right on that edge of this being the front month. All right. From there, we go to the last of the metals, the platinum, and the January contract. Went into the sell here. Still in the sell. Still in the sell. You know, weekly sell, daily sell. Still in the sell. Sell. And you got the green and the red, and you know gave you the warning that there's going to be some real volatility, and there it was. Sell. Exactly. Good old Marty from the American Stock Exchange and the Philadelphia Stock Exchange. When he'd fall asleep on the train, he would say, "Sold." He was a put trader. All right. So from there, we go to the energy sector now. Let's see what's going on with the energies. Let's see where Brent is. There it is, right there. There is Brent. It fell into the sell yesterday. And you can see the weekly is piercing as we speak. So, you know, we here believe, you know, Trump put out his policies yesterday afternoon. He's going to be signing big executive orders Europe is going to be seeing natural gas on the 21st. I mean, I think he gets sworn in on the 20th he gets sworn in on the 20th, and by the 21st, there'll be ships sailing to Europe with natural gas. Cheap natural gas. See, it's popping up a little bit here today. The Brent, you know, it's trying to lift up. They've gapped it down and trying to lift it up. But when you look at the algorithm itself, you can see the daily algorithm, that is. It's pushed into the sell now for a second day. And you can see the weekly has the fast underneath. You can see the slow is underneath. They're trying to break the zero line. So from there, we'll go look at West Texas Intermediate. Right there. And doing the same thing. You can see yesterday it found a way to get sold down. And then they've tried to pop it a little bit this morning. We'll see by the end of the day when the United States gets done with it. And you can see the weekly has pierced underneath there on the weekly and the daily. See, there's the weekly already pushing even harder. The slow is moving a little bit slow, but you know, we watched the slow is doing its job. It's through the zero lines. The fast is having a little hard time getting underneath, but it's only at 0.05. So before you know it, it'll be underneath if they get that thing in the minus. You can see here on the intraday, right there. You know, not intraday. I'm sorry, daily. You know, both of them are in a sell. So you see that pressure that's on the short term of crude oil in the United States. From there, we will march over to January heating oil, right there. Now, it got knocked down yesterday. It's still in that algorithm is underneath. 2 days. This is the heating oil slash the fuel oil, kerosene. It's airplanes, diesel trucks, and homes. You see, it's still in the weekly buy here, so we need to see a little bit more weakening. But here we are in we're in getting ready to go into December this weekend. So, I mean, in the northern hemisphere, you would expect to see energy prices high. In this case here, they're down from. Let me see if I can show you. Let's go over to the other platform that'll go back further. Oh, well, let's do this first. Let's see what the daily shows us. Yeah, see the daily, it was up back in July. It was in the 240 area. You can see it has traded down all the way down to the 209 area. Right now we're at the 227. 227 with a low today at 224. We're down about 20 cents on the since the summer months. Let's see if we can put it up over here. Right there. You see we were even higher. Going into July, there's July, we were up in the 265, 270 area right there. So, I mean, we've gone down from 270 down to 209. Is that 209 right there? That's 208. Right there is the low is 208.48. So we've gone down 60 some odd cents. There's the high, 265. Right there. There's the high of the high or that high, either one. There are 65s. So 65 to 08. So that is 57, basically. 57 cents, half a dollar drop, So, I mean, normally they find ways to go up because of the temperatures, but we've been a quarter of the United States has been relatively warm, so we have no problems there. So. But we'll got to get colder soon, All right, now from there we go over to what's this? Huh. 25% tariff on all Mexican and Canadian products coming into the United States, as long as they keep on letting illegal aliens come through. They're saying. See, Trumpy's going to be very productive, very, very productive. All right, so there's the heating oil, and you'll be getting lower fuel oil over in Europe. You'll be getting it all. Let's see. Let's go to natural gas right there. Natural gas is getting punched. Look at that. I was really surprised. We've been in a weekly sell from here, up in here. Let's put that weekly sell in there. And it jumped back into the buy for this little short period of time, and from the cold weather, we're getting pounded. We're like the way Austria did and so forth, where we're getting lots of cold and ice and snow. In the center part of the United States, we're getting an Arctic blast, the way Europe got the Arctic blast and is getting the Arctic blast as we speak now. So it put some pressure into it, but it doesn't. You can see it here. It's already flirting with the idea of this is high enough. $3.50, not bad. All right, let's go over to. We're pretty much at the end of the webinar here. So let's come up with a name. What we basically, yesterday, we could have had a better name. Definitely about the volatility of Forex. I am sorry that I gave that title. And today's title is truly, they're looking at, the markets are looking at what Mr. Trump is going to do and the people he has put in there and how productive a growing America. I mean, really, his policies are going to be a growing America. And I mean, he's not government spending growing, private sector, capitalism. Right back to it again. It did a great job last time. It'll do a great job again. I mean, that is the reality of it all. So I don't even know if I can, put England into this at all. But isn't that wild? They're going to try to force an election after only 4 months. Wow. Cool, huh? The people are speaking. Let's see. Golden. How about this? A new golden age. There we go. There's the the title today, and I think that's what's going to really power the world economy again. We're the engine. Everybody's part of the train. You're a caboose, or you're a coal car, or you're a passenger car, or something like that. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to power it up. So, all right, traders. Catch you all tomorrow, same time, same channel. This is Doc from North America saying, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders. Have a safe and smart trading day. Ta-ta for now.